So, as I'm doing some research, I come across some footage of some questionable confessions from cops that patrol Airways. And they've had some dirty, shady, interrogation, some dirty, shady activity. So let's listen to this.
17-year-old O'Shea Sims went from honor student and band member to murder suspect, later set free.
Once I explained to the prosecutor, I sat down with her and we went over everything. She too was quite shocked that this is what the evidence looked like. And so that's how he ended up getting out of jail without having to make a bond.
A rare decision on such a serious charge, says attorney Camille Turner, Sims' second attorney. She took the case for free after an outcry from Sims' teachers and others. But Sims had confessed to killing 26-year-old Antaeus Colbert on June 2nd, 2018, near an AutoZone parking lot close to Airways in Lamar.
You have to have corroborating evidence or other evidence other than a statement to convict somebody.
Police connected the victim and suspect through cell phone records, but witnesses in Sims' own confession said someone else used his phone. There was no murder weapon, and police obtained surveillance video from the wrong day. Court records show another person at the scene never identified.
Okay, so for the last 2 days on Just Say No to Sco, Raven and her rapper boyfriend 901 Trigger Trey have tried to convince us that there's nothing that could be done to the footage, to the surveillance. And I came across this to find that yes, there are ways to trigger or trick the footage that the Memphis police, especially the ones who patrol Airways, you can give what you want to give them. That's what old boy was trying to tell him last night. But let's keep listening to these dirty... Yeah, hold on.
Suspect through cell phone records, but witnesses in Sims' own confession said someone else used his phone. There was no murder weapon, and police obtained surveillance video from the wrong day. Court records show another person at the scene never identified Sims as the shooter, and friends put him elsewhere.
And so he just started making things up, and that's what the confession looked like to me. It looked like somebody who was making things up and trying to fit into whatever they wanted him to say.
Memphis police
Stage confession. Is that not the same thing Raven was trying to convince us of the worker who said the same thing over and over and over? She had the interrogation guidelines down to a T. Go back to Just Say No to Sco or 2 days ago. If she was able, because I said, if you look at my video, I said, is she a detective? This is, oh my goodness. What I'm showing y'all now is a mock. It's a mock. It's an example of how they are handling YOUNGDOLPH case. Keep listening.
8 hours, part of that time without his mother present, and it wasn't recorded. Documents show the officer advised Sims of his rights multiple times. Turner believes the confession was false and forced.
I knew the officers that were involved in the case. I saw the names, and quite frankly, I knew that some...
Boop, boop. Did she say false and forced? False and forced. That sounds just like what Raven was doing the other day. That sounds just like what that 901 Trigger Trey was trying to do last night when old boy was not having it.
roughly 8 hours, part of that time without his mother present, and it wasn't recorded. Documents show the officer advised Sims of his rights multiple times. Turner believes the confession was false and forced.
I knew the officers that were involved in the case. I saw the names, and quite frankly, I knew that some of them had reputations for doing things that are not always above board.
The News Channel 3 investigators requested the officers' personnel files. That's when we noticed names of officers who'd recently been in trouble. And we see both Sergeant Green and her partner, Eric Kelly, on his paperwork. Sergeant Sheila Green was the lead homicide detective on Sims' case. Her partner, Lieutenant Eric Kelly, assisted in the investigation. If those names sound familiar, it's because WREG has mentioned them recently. Does that raise any questions for you?
Absolutely.
Kelly is on a list of more than a dozen law enforcement officers being investigated by the DA's office for misconduct. He and Green traveled to Montgomery, Alabama to interview a murder suspect, but riding shotgun on the taxpayer-funded trip was another murder suspect in an unrelated case, Bridget Stafford. Racy texts reveal Kelly had a sexual relationship with Stafford. He gave her money and bought her weed. Stafford told police she had marijuana Kelly purchased in the car during the trip and smoked with Green's wife before leaving. Kelly retired amidst an investigation. Green was suspended for 2 days.
I actually was not aware of that.
We dug deeper into Green's file and found dozens of other violations, including 2 for excessive force. One, where she reportedly beat up a man after having to chase him, was appealed through civil service and dropped. The other involved an arrest where Green pepper sprayed a woman, then allegedly hit her during transport. One where Green's statements and jail logs showed conflicting times. Police said the woman could have sustained injuries otherwise, but called Green deceitful in her portrayal of facts and said her actions did not justify the use of chemical agent.
And so if we found out about this one thing and we've heard about these other things, how much more is there that we don't know?
MPD wouldn't go on camera, but a spokesperson pointed to these court records to reiterate their officers followed the rules in Sims' case. Yet questions still remain. Nearly 2 months after Sims was released, he died in a car accident traveling to a family funeral. This, as his attorneys work to fully exonerate him. Zanetta Loeb, WREG, News Channel 3.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You tell me what you think about the possibility of what may be going on with MAKEDA'S. Not Marquitas. I know it's Makeda, but y'all know I play with names a little bit. What may be going on with footage, forced confessions, with the officers that patrol Airways. It seems like a pattern. There's too many coincidences. And I'm not big on coincidences. Either it's intentional or it's not. Either you think you're smarter than everybody or it's not. So, y'all tell me what you think. Is there too many similarities? Is there a possibility that some more things may be going on inside this Dolph case with the MPD and the surveillance and Airways? Airways. Talk to me, y'all.